Now there are three variables, ma. Okay, A, B, C. We are assigning the values. A is 4, B is 4, and C is 4, ma. And here we are using a condition inside if, that is A bitwise ended with B exclusive or with itself, that is B exclusive or B. Okay, then we are again performing bitwise AND with C. So if this is true, we are saying that A should be shifted to 1 right side by 1 position, and this is end of the if. Okay, and finally we want to print this, print A plus B plus C. Okay, Nana, so any guesses, or you want to trace the code? We'll just start it, right? Okay. Is it clearly visible, ma?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, any guesses?
Sir, is it 12, sir?
Okay, very good. That's absolutely right, ma. So the answer is 12. Okay, how did you get this 12? Can you explain?
Yes, sir. Sir, initially A, B, C are assigned with the value 4.
Yeah, so A has got 4 and B has got 4 and as well C has got as well 4. All three of them are having the 4s, right? Okay, continue, ma.
Yes, sir. In if
Yeah.
condition, as B XOR B is in braces, it will be
Yes.
given first priority.
Very good. So this will be performed first. Okay. What is that B value? B is a 4. 4 means 0, 1,
0, 1, 0, 0.
0, 0. And same again with B, 0, 1, 0, 0. And the operation is a exclusive OR, right?
XOR. Yes, sir.
Okay, so okay, what is XOR?
Same means 0 and different means 1, sir.
Yeah, very good. So the truth table for exclusive OR is same inputs will give a 0, different means it gives 1. Okay, so the result will be
0, sir.
so 0, 0, 0, 1, 1 also 0, 0, 0 also 0. So we got the 0. So this total has become a 0, right? Okay. Then
A bitwise and with this result will give 0, sir.
very good. A is also 4, that is 0, 1, 0, 0. And this second operator is itself is a 0, so that means all 0. And if you perform a AND operation, that will be all zeros only, right? So single
Yes.
0 will give all zeros, obviously. And again with the C also we get all zeros. That means the total expression has become a false, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then.
So the statement in if condition, if block will not be executed, sir.
Very good. The statement in the if block, that is this part will not be executed. Okay, we directly come to the print statement. And what are the ABC values, ma? The ABC values are
4 plus 4
4
plus 4.
plus 4 plus 4, which is nothing but 12. So 12 is the answer. That's very good, ma. Chala baga chepparu nanna. Okay, ma. So we'll move on to the next example. Okay, so the next example is something like this. We got two values, ma. So that is a equals to 10, and there is another variable b equals to 11. Okay, and we are having a function, fun function. Okay, this fun function is receiving both a value and as well b value, right? And in this condition, in this body of the fun function, we are writing a condition if 0. Okay, if 0, we are saying return a minus b minus fun of -7 -1, and this is end of if. Okay, then we are saying a equals to a plus a plus a plus a, and we are saying return a, and this is end of fun అని వచ్చేసి. Okay, Nana, so this is the pseudo code. Okay, so the values for a and b is 10 and 11. Okay, any guesses for the answer, ma? So we just call that fun function, like we call the fun function with 10 comma 11. That's we called it function call. Okay, what happens?
Sir, 40, sir, answer.
Yeah, very good, Nana. The answer is 40. Very good. మీ పేరేంటమ్మా?
Anusha Sophia, sir.
ఓకే, వెరీ గుడ్. అనుష చాలా బాగా చెప్పారమ్మా. ఓకే, 40. ఓకే, అనుష 40 ఎలా వచ్చింది?
In generally, A is 10 and B is 11, sir.
Yes, ma.
And in function, it will take 10, 11. And in if condition, it is 0, so false. It won't go to the return statement.
That's absolutely. So if 0 means this is absolutely false. So it doesn't go here. Okay. We directly come to the
A is equal to A plus A plus A plus A, sir.
A is equal to A plus A plus A plus. So 4 times A will be added. So 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, which is nothing but 40. And we are returning that 40. So the answer is 40. Okay, very good, Nana. Thank you so much. So this is almost similar. That is, if you know that the condition is false, you can easily guess the answer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, ma. So we'll see another example. Okay. And assume that, so we got A as 5 and B as 1. Okay. And similarly, there is a function fun. Okay. Like the previous one. It is having A and B as parameters, right? And here I'm writing a condition if B plus A or A minus B and B greater than A and 1. Okay, ma. So this is the condition, ma. So if that is true, we say that A equals to A plus B plus B minus 2, and we say that return 3 minus A. Okay, else return A minus B plus 1. Okay, ma, so return a minus b plus 1, and this is end if, and this is return a plus b. సో ఇది క్వశ్చన్ అన్న, కొంచెం కేర్ఫుల్ గా చూసి నాకు ఆన్సర్ ఏంటో చెప్పండి.
Sir, is it -1, sir?
ఓకే, -1 కాదు నాన్న, కొంచెం మళ్ళీ ట్రై చేయండి.
Okay.
-1. Okay, any guesses, ma? Okay, so if you want to trace, we'll just trace it, right? Okay, who wants to try it? Lakshmi, try చేస్తారా చెప్పండి. మీరు రాంగ్ వచ్చింది కదా, మీరే ట్రై చేయండి.
Yes,
బెటర్.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, Nana. Yeah, we'll try it. Okay, say that. A is 5. Right? And
Yes,
B
sir.
is 1.
B is 1.
Okay, B is 1. Yeah, so we'll start. Okay, చెప్పండి లక్ష్మి. B అంటే నాకు 1 plus A అంటే 5. So which is nothing but a
6.
6, Nana, right? 6. Okay, so what happens when you are dealing with this logical operators is, okay, in case of OR operator, if one of the value is true means no need to check the other value, right?
Yes, sir.
Why? Because a single true can make any number of false as true. So this total thing will become, obviously will become a true. How I am saying that? Because here I got this 6. Any non-zero value will be considered as a true. So that will be true. So no need to check this A minus B, right? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So this total thing has become a true now for me.
Yes,
So we are
sir.
going to the other part. Okay, we are going to the other part. And what is this, ma? B is 1 greater than, what is A? 5. 1 greater than 5. Is it true or false?
False, sir.
Okay, so this is false, obviously. And what is the operator here I am having?
Logical and.
Okay, logical end. Okay, in AND operation, if I know that one of the input value is false, do I need to check other part, or can I say directly the answer? లాజికల్ ఎండ్ లోనన్నా ఒకటి ఫాల్స్ ఉంటే మిగతా చెక్ చేయాలా?
No need, sir.
నో నీడ్ నన్న. ఏంటి, ఎందుకు?
Because if one is false, automatically the answer will be false.
Very good, Nana. So if one of the condition is false, mean no need to check the remaining conditions. So ultimately the answer will be false only, right? So this entire thing has become a false. And what we got here, this is true. And what is the operator between these two? Again, logical end, right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So one true and one false will make the total condition as a
False.
obviously that's a false, right? So this total condition has become a false now. Okay, so we don't go to this A equals to A plus B plus -2, right? So this won't get executed. ఇది నాకు ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ కాదు. Right, Nana?
Yes, sir.
So we'll come to the else part, Nana. Else part, right? ఈ else దగ్గరికి వస్తున్నాం because if false అని కాబట్టి అది execute కాదు, ఈ return కూడా execute కాదు అంటే this total part is actually skipped. So we are coming to the else part. What is there in the else part, ma? Return statement is there. What is that statement? A minus B plus 1.
B plus 1.
That means 5 minus B is 1 plus 1. So you can say that this minus 1 plus 1 will get cancelled. And what is the remaining value?
5, sir.
5. Ma. Okay, so the answer for this question is 5. Right?
Yes, sir.
So the result for this question is 5. Okay, so that's how we can get this answer, ma. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. Okay, I think ఇది మీరు ఈజీగా చెప్పేస్తారు అనుకుంటున్నాను నేను. I think you are familiar with this. We will see another example. There is a function called fun, which return an integer value. So int fun. It's taking 2 parameters, int a, int b. And the statement inside this function is b mod a logical and a mod b logical or a exclusive or with b greater than a exclusive or with b else return a minus b. This is end of the if, then return a plus b, and this is end of fun function. Okay, so this is the code. Okay, a equals to 5, b equals to 1. Can you guess the output? Okay, let's trace the code. So we are calling this fun function fun with values 5, 1. So for a we are passing 5, and for b we are passing 1. So we calling here. So 5 goes to a and 1 goes to b. So first we come here. This is b mod a. So b is 1 mod 5, and a mod b, that is a 5 mod 1. So when I try to modulus divide a number which is smaller than a denominator value, that is 5, so 5 doesn't divide 1, so the remainder is 1 itself. So here the result is 1, and if I divide 5 with 1, it divides 5 times and remainder is 0. So this has become a 0 now. So 1 logical ended with 0, so 1 is 0, so the whole value will become a 0. That is nothing but a false. And come here actually. So here if you look at, there are 2 operators. One is exclusive or and one is greater than. So when you're having more than one operator here, actually we have to follow the precedence or priority rule. So the priority of greater than is higher than exclusive or operation. So it should be interpreted as b greater than a should be performed first. After that, you need to perform this exclusive operation. So b greater than a, that is 1 greater than 5, which is a false, nothing but 0. And it will be like a exclusive or with 0. So what is a? A is a 5, 0, 1, 0, 1, and 0 means all zeros. And when you perform exclusive OR, different inputs will give 1, same inputs will give 0. So 1, 0, which is nothing but 5. So this total has become a 5, okay, which is nothing but true. So 1 false here and 1 true here. Logical OR gives a true value. So this entire condition has become true. And we come here, that is a equals to a exclusive or b. Okay, so we'll perform this. What is this? A equals to a exclusive or b? A means 5, 0, 1, 0, 1. B means 1, 0, 0, 1. So if I perform this a exclusive or with b, so it will be like same inputs will give 0. So 1, 1 is 0, 0, 0 is 0, 1, 0 is 1, 0, 0 is 0, which is nothing but 4. So that 4 goes to A. Okay, this 4 goes to A. So 5 is gone. The new value of A is 4. Okay. That's it. We don't go to this else part. And this is end of the if. And we come to this return statement. So what is your returning is? We are returning A plus B. So A is 4 and B is 1. So 4 plus 1 means 5. So you are returning 5 to the function. So which is nothing but the result. So the result is 5. So that's it. The result of this total problem is 5. So again we are taking another function int a and int b. And inside this we are checking if a greater than b. We say that b equals to b exclusive or with a, and this is the end of the if. And if b greater than a, we say that a equals to a exclusive or with b, and this is end of the if. Then we are saying that return a plus b, and this is the end of the fun function. Okay, I think it's easy. You can try this. For the values, a is a 4 and b is 8. చెప్పండి నాన్న, ట్రై చేయండి.
Sir, is it 21, sir?
So you got 21.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
20.
ఎంతనన్నా?
20, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, I think 20 is correct answer, ma. Okay, we'll check that. Okay, చెప్పండి అన్న, మీరు ఏం చేశారు? 20 వాళ్ళు చెప్పండి.
Yes, sir.
చెప్పండి అన్న.
A is equal to 4, sir. B is equal to 8.
Yes, very good.
And in function 4, 8.
Okay, so we got
And
4 and 8 here.
And in if condition, it will check that is A is greater than B, 4 is
Yeah.
greater than A, it is false.
So this is false.
And next if condition, it will check B is greater than A, B is greater than A, so 8 is greater than 4, it is true.
Very good, ma.
So A is equal to A XOR B, means 4 XOR 8, that is 12, sir.
Okay, A is 4. 4 means 0 1 0 0.
8
B
is
means
1
8
0 0.
1 0 0. And we got 0 0 1 1,
1 1.
which is nothing
12.
but
12, sir.
very good, Nana, which is nothing but 12.
So A
Yes.
is equal to 12, sir.
Yes.
And it will return A plus B. A is 12, 12 plus B is 8, 12 plus 8, 20, sir.
So A has become 12. So we came to the return statement. This is 12 and B is 8. So which
8,
is
sir.
nothing but 20. Okay, Lakshmi, ఇది కరెక్టేనా? మీరు 21
Yes,
అన్నారు.
sir. 20, sir. 20, sir.
Yeah, very good, Nana. That's absolutely right, Nana. So the answer is 20. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు కొంచెం వెరైటీగా ట్రై చేద్దాం నాన్న. Okay, so just look at this, ma. So we are taking one integer variable x, okay, and we are giving a value 2 to the x, right? And inside if I'm writing it as x is equal to 1 and if x is equal to 0, we are saying that print A, else print B, end of the if. Guys, are you following? Else print C, and this is end of the if. Okay, so this is the code, ma. What will be the answer?
C, sir.
Okay, Nana, absolutely. The answer is C. That's absolutely right. Okay, so can you tell me why you got that C?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Initially, x is assigned with the value 2, sir.
Very good, ma. 2. X is 2, obviously.
In first if condition, x is compared with 1, sir.
Very good. So x is compared with 1. That means 2 is compared with 1. Is 2 is equals to 1?
No, sir. It will give false.
It's false, ma. Very good. Then
So nested if and else will not be executed. So
Very good.
the
That's absolutely
yes.
right. Okay, so this total if and else will be totally cancelled because that is a nested if. So this condition is false means we directly come to the this else part.
Else condition. Yes, sir.
Very good. Yeah.
So then after C will be printed. Sir.
So the C will be get printed on the screen. Okay, ma. So since we discussed this concept, okay, this bit actually, okay. So I want to share something with you, right? Have you heard a concept called? Okay, have you heard a concept called? Okay, so just look at this name. It's called dangling else problem. ఈ పేరు ఎప్పుడన్నా విన్నారా? డాంగ్లింగ్ ఎల్స్ ప్రాబ్లం. ఏనా ఎప్పుడన్నా విన్నారా డాంగ్లింగ్ ఎల్స్ ప్రాబ్లం అని?
No, sir.
Okay, so what is this is actually is, okay, okay, when you're working with C codes and all, right? Okay, if I say this something like this, if A greater than B, okay, if A greater than C, some statement 1 else statement 2. Okay, so just look at this ma. So inside if condition we have just written if else, right? And if you
Yes,
see
sir.
that actually, if you see that I didn't write any braces. I didn't mention this is the body of the if and this is body of the else, right?
Yes, sir.
So in this case, what is your opinion, right? This particular else, does it belongs to this if or it belongs to the first if? What do you think?
If A greater than C. Yes.
Yeah, so we say that, okay, so that is a if A greater than C, for that actually that else is actually belongs, right? That is for the second if, right ma?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, what is this? For example, maybe the way I have written this code is may have projected you something like that. Right? Okay, so I'll just change this way of writing it. Okay, I have written else over here, else statement 2. Okay, ma. So now tell me.
Then there will be some ambiguity, sir.
Very good. So then we are having some confusion, like whether this else belongs to the second if or first if. Okay, so if this is a actually if this is a Python or something kind of a code, actually we don't get this kind of a thing because in Python actually we use indentation for representing a block, right? We don't use any
Yes,
braces.
sir.
Okay, so based on the level where it is actually written, you can easily find it out. This belongs to first if or this belongs to the second if. But in C language, where you represent a block with the braces, and you didn't use that because if you are having only a single statement, you can omit the braces. That's the thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, in which case we omit the braces. No need to write the braces. If that particular
If
block
we have
contains
only one statement.
single statement, right? Very good. So in that case, no need to write that braces. Okay, so in that case, actually, so this is the a kind of a situation where we didn't write that braces. Okay, so this particular problem is actually called as the dangling else problem. Okay, it's called a dangling else problem. Okay, so what is that dangling else problem? Is we are unable to decide a particular else belongs to which particular if there are more than one if is present there, right? Okay, so then how my compiler will interpret this? Okay, because the compiler is the one which is actually doing all these executions, right? Okay, how your compiler will take this particular code is, okay, when there are two ifs and you got only a single else, okay, in that case it starts backtracking. It starts what I'm saying, it's called a backtracking. So whoever comes first, it thinks that is the one this actually else belongs to. What do you mean by backtracking? Is from that position it goes to the upward direction, right? From the else part it goes to the upward direction. Okay, so whichever if comes first, that will be considered as the if belongs to the current else part, right, ma?
Yes, sir.
So that's the logic. So this is the solution for the dangling else problem. Okay. Right.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard this word name called a dangling? In which topic you heard this name called dangling?
Dangling pointer, sir.
Okay, that's absolutely right, ma. So that's called the dangling pointer. Okay, can anyone have this idea about dangling pointer? What is that problem? Because that's one of the important question in technical round. If you're applying for a core company kind of a thing, okay, that is a product based company, you can get these kind of questions there. Okay, have you have any idea about dangling pointer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, tell me, ma.
Sir, if we try to point out the memory location which was not existed or deleted with the pointer, then it will be called as dangling pointers.
Okay, so in which case we do that? Okay, so can you share any kind of an example kind of a thing? Yes, tell me.
Sir, in dynamic memory location, if we use if we freed the memory which we was allocated previously, if we try to point out that memory location, then it will become the dangling pointer, sir.
That's very good, ma. So, for example, your pointer thinks that I am pointing to something a valid data, but what that has happened is actually that data is already deleted, right? But this pointer doesn't knows that, right, ma? In that case, your pointer has become a dangling pointer because the data that is pointed by your pointer is already deleted. Okay, that's one case. For example, if the example that you have taken, That is when you are using this dynamic memory allocation, you'll allocate an array or a structure to your pointer, and after some time you just freed that memory, and your pointer doesn't know that the data that there in that particular place is already deleted. Your pointer becomes a dangling pointer. That is one criteria or one example where these dangling pointers will be occurred. Okay, there is another example also is there, dangling pointer. Okay, if you have any idea you can also tell me that. Okay, ఇంకేమైనా తెలుసా నన్న డైనమిక్ మెమరీ ఎలొకేషన్ కాకుండా?
No, sir.
Okay, so I'll just show you that. Okay, so what that is actually, what I'm telling is, okay, when your particular pointer is having a data and that particular value is out of scope, then your pointer becomes a dangling pointer. Okay, what exactly I'm talking is, okay, so assume that there is a main function over here, and here we are having a pointer that is int star p, right? And here I'm having another block, okay, where I'm having some int x equals to 10, okay, and I have given the address of x to p. Okay, so what is this x is there, x is having a value 10, and your p is here, and your p is pointing to x, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if I write something like this, print f %d star p, what I will get?
10, sir.
So 10 will get, right? So this is that. So after some time I just closed this block, right? Okay, I just closed that block, and after that, coming out of the block, here I am printing printf %d star p. Okay, what is the output now? If you look at this code, what happens when you come out of this particular block? You are coming out of the particular block to this printf statement. What happens to this x?
Sir, maybe after coming out of that block, p will stop pointing the x, sir.
Okay, so it's not maybe or some kind of a thing. Okay, you heard a concept called this scope, right? You heard this, right? Scope of a
Yes,
variable. Scope of a variable. Okay, what exactly your scope tells you about a variable?
It can be accessed in that block or functions.
Okay, yeah, so what exactly your scope is telling, giving you? It specifies, okay, it specifies an area where our variable
Can be accessed.
Variable, or I can say variable's value is available, right ma? Can I say something like this?
Yes, sir.
So scope means that specifies the particular area or a range or a place inside your program where exactly your value of your variable is available. Okay, so the scopes are actually two types, ma. The scopes can be a local scope or a global scope, you know that, right?
Yes, sir.
If my variable is a global variable, what do you mean by global variable? Whoever outside the main, okay, this will be called as the global variable. If your x is outside the main, I can say that x is a global variable. Why I'm saying that's a global variable? Because its value is available throughout the program. Whoever wants to access x, they can access, because x is at a global declaration section, right? We learned that structure of C program wherein we are having this
Yes,
global
sir.
declaration section before the main. Okay, but look at this, ma. Here this x is not a global variable. Why? Because this is inside the
Block, sir.
block, ma. So here this is the local variable, right? Local variable. So where your x value is available, okay, if you just forget about this global variable, I'm just removing it because we are not using it in our program. Okay, so in our program, we have declared this x inside this block. So x value is available from this place to end of this particular block or this closing braces, right? Once you are
Yes, sir.
coming out of this block, this x is actually no longer available. X is deleted from the memory. It is deleted, right? Right, ma?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in that case, but your pointer doesn't know all these things. Your pointer p thinks that, okay, so still I am looking at a x or pointing at x because x is there. X address is given to me and still I am looking to the x. So it thinks that x is still there. But actually what happened? This x is already deleted from the memory, right? So in this case, this particular p has become a dangling pointer. Dangling pointer. Did you got my point, ma?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Okay, so that's called the dangling pointer in a simple manner. So how can I say that if a variable pointed by a pointer gone out of the scope, then your pointer will become a dangling pointer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, ma. So that's a one important concept about this dangling pointer. Okay, do you have any idea about types of pointers in C? What are the different types of pointers, ma? Okay, so just now we have seen a pointer known as a dangling pointer, right, ma? You heard that and you understood this dangling pointer concept, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is another pointer called void pointer. Have you heard this name? Void pointer. And there is another pointer type is there, which is known as a generic pointer. It's called a generic pointer. And there is another pointer is there, which is called null pointer. And there is another pointer is there, which is called wild pointer. Okay, it's called a wild pointer. And there is another pointer is known as huge pointer. Or you call it as a far pointer. Okay, if I say far pointer, there will be another pointer known as a near pointer. Guess how many of you of these concepts you have heard of? Just now we covered this dangling pointer. Have you got any idea about void pointer, ma?
Sir, I just know some of the names, sir, but don't have a deep idea about the definitions.
Okay, very good, man. So, so I told you, like when you are applying, it's like appearing for these product-based companies, maybe you will get an face these kind of questions. Okay, so I'll just throw some light on each and every concept. Okay, it's very simple now. Okay, what is this void pointer? Is you can easily guess it. What do you mean by a void pointer? Okay, if inside your program, if you have declared a pointer as a void star p, that is nothing but void pointer, as simple as that. Can I declare a pointer as a void? Or something like this. Can I declare a variable as a void type, void x? Is that possible? Is that is such kind of a facilities available in C or not? Can we have a variable of void type? Obviously, this is not valid, ma. You can't have
No,
a
sir.
variable. Okay, you can't have a variable of a void type, but you can declare a pointer of a void type. This is valid. This is there, but this is invalid. Okay, then what is the use of void pointer is, okay, sometimes we when we are writing a program, actually, okay, we know that our program requires a pointer somewhere in our program, but we are not sure about what will be the data type that we're going to store in that, or what will be the data type of the value that you're going to store into that particular place. That means you don't know your pointer will point to which kind of a data, but you know that you need a pointer, right? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there may be a situation that you need a pointer and your pointer must point to a particular place, but we don't know, or we are not sure of what is the data type of the value that you're going to store in that particular place. So in that case, I'll create my pointer as a void pointer, right? And whenever something like if I am storing an integer value into a particular thing, I will typecast my pointer to the integer type. If I am storing a character value, then I will typecast my pointer as a character type, right? So I will apply the typecasting to this void pointer so that it can point to a specified kind of a data type, right, ma?
Yes, sir.
What is that actually is, when you are giving an address to the pointer, you have to make sure that the data type of your pointer and the data type of your variable should be same, right? If I say int star p, what does that mean, ma? If I say int star p, we use this declaration, right? We use this declaration to declare a pointer of integer type. When you're declaring this int star p, what is that meaning? I'm saying that I will store an address into p, and that
Which
address
is of
belongs to
integer type.
an integer variable. I can't store a float value address into an integer pointer, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means the data type of your pointer is dependent on the data type of the variable whose address is going to store in your pointer. But there is a facility that you can declare your pointer as a void type, and when you're actually pointing your pointer to a particular variable, then you can typecast your pointer to the data type of that particular variable. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Yeah, very good. So these are called void pointers, and the name generic. What do you mean by generic, ma? Applicable to all, right? Generalization.
Yes, sir.
It can be applied to all. So I can say that a void pointer is a generic pointer because it has got the capacity of holding the address of any kind of a data by using the typecasting, right? So in a simple terms, I can say void pointer and generic pointer both are same, right, ma?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the thing. And what about the null pointer is, this is also very simple. Okay, I have just written so many names, but the concept is very simple. If I have declared a pointer int star p, the initial value, if you store in that pointer is a null, I can say that pointer as a null pointer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if the initial value into a pointer is a null, or somewhere in your program you're storing null value into a pointer, I can say that that pointer is a null pointer. Okay, what happens if I'm not storing this null? Okay, most of the times we do this, right? We declare a pointer, but we don't store any value into the pointer, right, ma? We simply declare the pointer and later we store some address into that pointer. This pointer is called wild pointer. If you are not storing any address or not even a null, then your pointer is called the wild pointer. Did you get my point?
Yes, sir. Sir, generally also we will do like that only, no, sir.
We do something like that. Okay, but a good programming practice is whenever you declare a pointer, a good programming habit is you should store null value into the pointer.
Yes,
right?
sir. Okay.
Okay, so why we need to do that? It's not mandatory. That's why it doesn't get any error, right? But why I'm saying a good programming practice is, okay, so basically we are maybe you have seen something like a program like a 10 line 20 lines, or if you take the data structures, you would have stored something like 100 lines programs. But what happens in the companies is actually, right, companies in the actually you will have 1,000 lines of code, right, when you're doing a project or something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so maybe somewhere I have declared a pointer. Okay, I forgot that what is the value in that pointer because I didn't store any value. I have directly used that pointer in some application or all that. Okay, so in that case I will get some kind of a unexpected behavior from that pointer. So if you don't want to get that unexpected behavior, it's better you put a null value into it. That's the slogan of your good programmer, right? So why you calling it as a wild pointer? Okay, you use this word wild animals, right? Why you call them as wild animals, or how it is different from domestic animals, ma? We'll have a domestic cats or wild cats, right? What's the difference
Yes.
between domestic cat and wild cat?
They live separately from human
Humans.
beings.
Yeah, very good. So the wild cats means they are actually they live in the forest or somewhere. So their behavior you can't expect them, right?
Yes, sir.
But if you're having a pet cat in your house, okay, so that behavior you can expect, like when you are it's like having that pet. Okay, if you observe that for 1 week or 10 days, you can easily guess what is its actions in different kind of a scenarios, right? And that is well behaved with humans also, right? Because that
Yes,
is
sir.
living in the house. So that's the thing. So wild means you can't expect their behavior, right? So if your pointer is not initialized to any address or a null, I can say that pointer as a wild pointer, right? Okay, what about this huge pointer or a far pointer? Far, okay, so take that example, far, and this is a near. Far pointer is there, near pointer is there, right? Okay, so what that exactly is, you learned that MPMC, right? You studied MPMC, right?
Yes, sir.
So in MPMC, we say that 8086 is having a memory of 1 MB size, right? 1 MB size. This 1 MB memory is divided into 16 segments.
Yes, sir.
0 to 15 and F, right? 16 segments. Out of these 16 segments, 4 segments are always active. How many? 4 segments. What are those 4? Code, data, stack, extra, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the size of each segment, ma? It's a 64 KB. 64 KB. So 16 64 KBs are nothing but 1 MB. That's a calculation actually, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if I say 64 KB, K means 1024.
Kilobyte.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
kilobyte, which is 1024, which is nothing but 65,536. You know this value, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is that means is there are 65,536 places or locations inside this particular box or a particular segment, right? So that each box is having a 65,536 locations, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you learned the programming in MPMC, right? Like data segment, code segment, and all that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so assume that we have written a program. Okay, we have written a C code, and we stored that C code in this particular block or segment. And your size of your C code is larger than that segment. That is, its size is greater than 64 KB. So what you do, you store the rest of the code in another part of the segment or another segment, right?
Yes, sir.
So if a pointer is present in this particular segment and you are using that pointer, okay, use P in another segment, you are using that P in another segment. In that case, you say that that P is a far P. That means in this particular segment, I am using a pointer which is present in another segment. So in that case, I say that that's a far pointer. If that is within the segment only, I say that near pointer. Did you get my point?
Yes, sir.
So that's the thing. Why you think of these things like near pointer, far pointer, and all these things? Because C belongs to an era that is 1972, right? Right, ma? When was
Yes,
C was developed? 1972. When was this microprocessor or a particular chip actually invented? In 1971, right? So that means both the things are almost at the same time, microprocessor and C language. So at that time, actually, they had only 1 MB of memory. So the precious thing is actually memory. And what they are used to have is they used to have these segments. So they are having this concept. If your pointer is present in the same segment, you call it as a near pointer. If it belongs to other segment, you call it as a far pointer. Simply, that's it. Right, ma?
yes, sir.
So that's the thing. Okay, so it's like I wanted to discuss these things because I think these things will help you in your technical round. Okay, because we don't get this concept, like no one will discuss about these things, right? Have you come
Yes,
across these
sir.
kind of names? Kind of
No, sir.
yeah, so no one will discuss actually. So actually it's like some student has come to me and actually she said that, okay sir, I got this kind of a question in a technical round, I'm unable to answer. So that actually, what is the concept that she asked me? So that's why actually I want to share that thing with you. Okay, hope that will helpful for you. Okay, so with a small bit, okay, I'll close this session, ma. Okay, hope you'll tell the answer. It's very simple. Okay, see that we are having a variables v, n, and num, right? And we are giving v as 1 and n as 45, right? Okay, I'm saying that num equals to num it's not num. Okay, wait a sec. I'm saying that n right shift 1, and I'm saying that num equals to n plus v. Okay, then print num. Okay, any guesses, ma? Yes, any guesses?
Sir, both third and fourth lines are num only, sir.
Yeah, num only. This is num, this is num. Okay, I'll just convert this into program, okay, so that you'll get a better clarity, okay, instead of guessing the answers and all. Okay, I'll just let me open this. Okay, ma, so can you see my screen, ma?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the C code I am typing here. Okay, so what we have taken int v equals to 1, then we are having a n equals to 45, right? And we are having a num, right, ma? So now we are saying that num equals to n, right shift 1. Then I am saying that num equals to n plus v, and I want to see that printf percentage d. What is that? It's a num value, right? Yeah, tell me now. Okay, any guesses?
46, sir.
Okay, very good. Absolutely 46, ma, right? Okay, just think that I just written something like this: n right shift 1, then
$21, sir.
it's a 23, ma, right?
Yes, sir. 23, sir.
Yeah, 23, right? So I hope you know that, right? So when your 45 is left shifted, it will become a half. Half
45
means
divided by 2. Yes, sir.
that is 22, ma, not 22.5. 0.5 రావు కదా, ఏమొస్తుంది మనకి 22 వస్తుంది. దానికి v
Yes.
యాడ్ చేయడం అంటే 1 అన్న, సో దట్ ఈస్ 23. Okay, ma, so that's it for today's class.